in their last series in Golden Guardians. There's high expectations for this team. They need to win here to try to keep the championship hopes alive, to try to get towards Worlds. A win here would put you in top 4, would guarantee you at least a shot at going to Worlds with that 4th versus 4 qualifier, NA versus EU, that will obviously happen later on before Worlds. So, you know, a loss here, I think, especially for Golden Guardians, would be such an upset after having such a successful spring, making it towards MSI, an amazing summer regular season as well.
And you kind of heard, we talked about at the top of the waiting room, it was one of the first series where they gone in as the favorites and had a different mindset where they've always been kind of the perennial underdogs. And even in this series, now as a favorite, but in a dangerous position, having more pressure than I think this team might have ever had in the best of 5, where there are real legitimate fan and even their own expectations on their shoulders.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see the different priorities in the draft today.
Yeah.
Tristana, you know, is not going to actually make it through picks and bans at all in the early round here. It is going to get banned out in that first phase. Yesterday, Tristana and Xayah were both being left up, but they were being traded back and forth in that series. And it is going to be a Renekton here, blind for Licorice. So high prio on that Renekton. He had been playing a tremendous amount of Jax, so I had been curious to see, you know, was he going to be going towards that Jax? Instead, it will be Licorice back towards the Renekton. A big comfort pick for him throughout these last couple of years, especially in spring. He was playing a tremendous amount of it. But it is going to be Ksante locked in as well for Rich.
And we get to see a pretty standard matchup out of the top laners right now. They are both willing to get crazy, but I like for game 1 trying to be a little bit more standard. Ksante is generally considered Rich's best champion. Renekton considered one of the strongest top laners in the meta right now, and I feel like a lot will come down to who's getting the better of them and kind of forces the other one to blink first in the standard picks.
I think it is really interesting, though, because Licorice had such a standout performance in their last series. You know, I think the other side of the coin is maybe give him something that he can carry on more. Maybe give him something that he has that additional agency on. And he's going to be going up against not just the Ksante from Rich, but also the Sejuani here from Santorin. That pairing, I think, is going to make his life difficult. Ziggs getting banned away here by Golden Guardians has been a pick that has been, again, rising in prio. I think APA came in, really showed people that this pick can have a lot of power. Has been seeing it a little bit more in the LCS since then, both mid and bot. But Dignitas double banning AD carries here, taking away the Zeri as well as the Ezreal. They already banned out Xayah in that first phase, or excuse me, took the Xayah. They banned away the Xayah. Tristana has been banned out. So a lot of picks are getting denied here, but we still have things like Aphelios, like Varus up and available.
Yeah, the Ziggs was a nice splash that we saw out of Dignitas in their series versus TSM and showed that there's a little bit more flexibility to this team than initially appeared. And Tomo was someone who stepped up and had a pretty good series. We've seen flashes of great play out of him.
Okay.
As we see. Okay. The Azir versus Xerath matchup. We actually saw this again from Insanity playing into Dignitas, and it looks like Jensen said, that was pretty annoying. Tomo was like, I had to dodge a lot of skill shots. I did not have fun, and so they're going to slap this one down. We'll see what they want to play into here. There's a lot of the common marksman band out who would have some level of mobility.
Yeah, it's also really interesting because, you know, we only have seen that Xerath versus Azir, I think, once in this split, but yesterday it actually caught a ban after Azir was locked in. The Xerath did get banned out, so people are clearly starting to play it in scrims. Now we're going to get to see it showcased here once again. Aphelios is going to be locked in, and now we find out, is it jungle Rell? Is it support Rell heal here for Golden Guardians? Still have that flexibility. I'm kind of expecting it to go towards River and that Huhi would be locking in a different support, but he's absolutely equipped to play that Rell, has been really good on it. I do think secondary engage would be really nice for the team, but it's going to be Nocturne coming in, so a little bit of physical damage for the team.
It feels like a
dive as well.
An answer, yeah, and dive to the Xerath, who's going to become very immobile. And as soon as he kind of puts himself in place, if you have vision on him, you can just drop that ult. It blacks out his ults as well. So it's annoying for him to try and land these follow-ups on dark targets. You don't even necessarily need to go in, so it is a bit of a soft counter in that sense, as well as if you do have flanks and you are going in with the Rell, you can obliterate the Xerath. So a very interesting kind of answer out of River that I don't know if they prepped that or just came up with that on the spot.
Yeah, it is interesting. River coming through with the Nocturne. Obviously, the Xayah going to be tough to dive, but you called it out. The Xerath likely will be the target. We don't have any of those super common pairings that you would have with the Nocturne, though. It's not Nocturne Kennen. There's not like a Rakan or something that can really easily dive super deep. Obviously, Huhi can engage, Licorice can flank, and then you can try to go in. But Aphelios cannot follow up on it. Azir can't really follow up on it that easily.
It feels like both comps are kind of patchwork, where it's like someone did threw a wrench in the game plan, and then both people like overreacted to it in some sense, where like Golden Guardians have some dive, but their backline doesn't really match that. Where for Dignitas, they have this one poke tool in Xerath, and then the rest is actually kind of engaged in a Xayah who wants to be pretty safe as other people dive into them. So
All right, we are on to the Rift here. Game number 1, Golden Guardians versus Dignitas, a lower bracket affair. And Huhi already sneaking into the brush, and now Poome is spotted. I don't think there was any pings onto him, so I don't think they saw Huhi. I don't think Poome was actually far enough up to have that vision. So there is a possibility if they can bait him forward to get something to happen. But while we wait for any action to unfold, we do have Raz on the sideline with Dignitas' coach, Enetron.
Yeah, thanks a lot. We got Enetron right here. First question for you is, you have a lot of scrim days now in the playoffs in comparison to the regular season. How much of a help was it for you guys?
I think it helped us a lot creating a team identity better. It helped us a lot to increase our champion pools. So 3 weeks for us at least, it was really good. We saw on TSM better, and now I feel like we're also confident going to the series today too.
That makes sense. Feels like you guys are evolving as throughout the playoffs too. We have a Xerath pick here. Reminds me of the TSM game you had.
Yeah.
Just can you tell me about the Xerath pick for you guys, and also just like any surprises from the Golden Guardians draft?
I guess we learned the hard way through TSM, but despite that, we feel like we need to have more answers. It's a BO5, so we need to expand our champion pools, as I said before. So the Xerath is probably one of the answers that we have prepared for today. So pretty confident.
Sounds good to me. Thanks a lot. I'll send it back to you guys.
Very interesting to hear. It was indeed Insanity who kind of incepted this pick into their minds. Though they did win that game, it was very annoying and was kind of the thing that was keeping TSM in that final Game 5.
And I will say, Jensen, when they picked it against him, I feel like he's got to be one of the hardest players to play Xerath against, because he has always been, throughout his entire career, known for these kind of micro movements and how good he is actually dodging skill shots. And we'll see how successful he's going to be at actually hitting the skill shots on the other side now. Yeah,
playing the other side of the matchup, nothing's worse than like when you lose, to a pick and you go, oh, that was really annoying, I'm going to play it. And then you play and you're like, wow, this is hard, I don't know what I'm doing. We'll see if he can do it. This was kind of how the lane went as well for Insanity, to be fair. The Xerath counter pick doesn't turn online until you're able to kind of spam your picks more often. He did go Comet instead of First Strike, whereas Insanity was a lot about kind of cheating gold to get to a very early lost chapter to then focus on sustaining in lane and kind of trapping Azir there with you. He has the Comet here.
Yeah, and one of the big powerful things about Comet in lane for Xerath is you just W, that applies to slow. The Comet's always going to be kind of guaranteed to hit with that. We also have to see, can he actually create action in the side lanes, because that is one of the powerful things about a Xerath, is you can kind of half roam down towards bot lane or up towards top lane and assist in some of these skirmishes with the long range ultimate. And especially since some of these changes where you're getting the additional charges of it, it is really powerful later on in the game. Like, this pick scales super well. If you are on point with those ultis, you can take someone out of a fight almost entirely.
Yeah, I mean, Tomo himself was chunked out multiple times at the start of fights and had to kind of level up as the game went on, learning how to dodge them effectively, and was able to survive. Didn't get 100-0 in any of those fights in particular, but you saw the potential of that to happen if you're able to land just a couple ultimate procs onto a squishy AD carry. And Aphelios does not have many defensive tools on his side. Red gun Q can make you go a little bit faster to try and skirt out of a potential long-range snipe.
Yeah, there's not a lot. Santorin spotted by the ward on the bottom side. Should have full information that River is up on that top side. Both junglers doing full clear, 6 camps in a scuttle, so not a lot of action here early on just yet. It is interesting, though, having Nocturne and Xerath both in the same game. It almost feels like, though the Nocturne can be a good answer, it also works really well as a pick with it, because it is kind of one of those dive tools. And when you look at dive tools here on the Dignitas side, there's really not much of anything, right? Maybe the Ksante can go in the back line, and Xerath can assist in a dive in that way with the ultimate. I could see something like that happening. But I think it could potentially be difficult to actually kind of have that synergy.
There's not a ton of threat damage. I guess the nice thing is that Xerath can always contribute from kind of over the top. So if you ever do find a lockdown CC chain combo with an Alistar headbutt pulve into Sejuani ult and these kinds of things, Xerath doesn't need to follow up with his body. He just shoots over the top and can blow people up. So they do have that threat, but I do agree it's probably going to be a lot about trying to poke them out, force Golden Guardians to engage onto you. Though this is one of the things they do have in their back pocket with Sejuani plus melee topside. It is a potential gank, but nice ward by Licorice. Spotted that one out coming early.
Yeah, spotted them out. It's always a little bit awkward, though. Now, yeah, sure, the jungler is around, but until you see him somewhere else, it can be a little bit difficult to push that in. Stixxay getting low, but not going to feel too nervous. Doesn't actually cleanse the ignite, holds onto that. But it is a really good trade for the Dignitas duo, who now will have the push here. And Stixxay has to be careful about some of these feathers. If you can get another pullback on him, Q into E, he's going to be chunked incredibly low, so they may just have to take a bad base.
Yeah, bad base, but the nice thing is the fact that they saw Santorin up on the top side means that they know there's no threat of a dive potentially coming in here, so Going to take that recall on Stixxay. Doesn't feel great, but like you said, ends up with a summoner advantage and had enough money to just grab Greaves.
Look at this. Gori actually starting with the Merc Treads full buy here. Just going towards it. And now the wave is going to get cleared out. Licorice in some trouble, but Rich didn't quite have 6. If he was 6 there for the all-out, could have been the kill. And I thought he might have had the timing, but he didn't quite get it. So Licorice makes the risky move here, going in for the demolish, is able to get away with it. And on the other side in mid lane, Jensen does have Lost Chapter first buy. Santorin and Poome both behind him. So looking for a potential aggressive play here onto Gori. We'll see if they can find it, but Gori able to sidestep both of those spells and gets a little bit of a trade back.
Yeah, it looks like they were anticipating potential shift in, which is one of the things you obviously can do to the Xerath who's immobile. If he doesn't land his E on your shift in, then he's able to get that combo off, and if Nocturne's around, it's a very easy kill. But Dignitas protected Xerath, and now the wave is pushing back into him.
Yeah, and I think at the same time, if Gori actually dashed in for that, he might have just died, right? Because Poome could just flash in on him, combo him immediately. Sejuani's there as well. So Jensen was positioning very aggressively. It almost felt to me like he was trying to bait him to go on it, stepping so far forward. River, though, just powering towards level 6, does get spotted on that ward, going to start cycling the Raptors. Will be just a couple camps off. Actually, he's going to have it right now after that Raptors, but he should have been spotted so they can have a good idea that he's about to hit level 6 and play a little bit more carefully.
And this is one of the things that we were talking about makes River such an annoying jungler to play against is, yes, he has the J4 level 2 ganks. We might see a jungle dragon contester, excuse me.
I think so. Gori, though, getting chunked out a bit by Jensen, and Jensen wants to try to deny this fight. Tomo moving over, has no 6 though, mind you, on the Xayah, so River would be really threatening if they decide to go for it. We'll see if Golden Guardians wants to make the call. Stixxay is now moving up, but pretty late to the play, and it's going to be an engage here. Nocturne ult pop defensively. They're going to be going in onto Poome. Will force the flash back out. And so it is just a disengaged play there. They get the flash off Poome. They use the ulti from the Nocturne, and they get Dignitas off the Dragon.
Yep, most important thing there is they got the Dragon down. Did cost that first Nocturne ultimate, so while it does get the flash out of Poome, I think for Dignitas, you're kind of happy that that first one doesn't go mid and blow up the Xerath, which is where I was just going with that, where River does do sometimes these power farming focus clears, even though he's known for being an aggressive jungler, when he throws this kind of like mix-up curveball at you where he's just going to power clear on a carry jungle. He actually does play quite well on things like Kindred and here on the Nocturne.
It has the Iron Spike Whip. I'm expecting he's just going to go Strikebreaker. It is pretty standard on the Nocturne these days. You can go full lethality, but it's not really something for pro play, honestly. And though they didn't get the kill with the Nocturne ult, he can now start up the Dragon. They had pushed through bot, tried to actually harass Tomo as he was getting back towards the turret. So will be first Dragon of the game here for Golden Guardians. We'll be feeling pretty good about it, but we'll see how accurately Dignitas can actually track those ulti timers, because the ulti cooldown for Nocturne is super long early on. It's a couple minutes at rank 1 with no CDR, which is where he's sitting. So they can play a little bit more aggressively, a little bit more up, really, without that ulti being there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that interests me from what Dignitas has done in this game 1, as they are trying to get a second neutral objective that Golden Guardians is contesting.
Yeah, should be able to actually get this. Smite is available. River is not there, and no ulti. So Gori pokes forward. Rich should just be able to jump over the wall to him. We'll see if they want to get really aggressive. Rich must not have the E until just now, and now Gori's coming forward. He could look for an angle for the ulti, but Rich is going to go all out, taking Licorice over the wall. Will have to retreat, though, as Gori is here. So it's ulti for ulti. Rich just uses it as a taxi service to get out. At the end of the day, trade of ultis. The flash was forced off of Santorin as he was really nervous about Gori coming through there and potentially finding a play, but they do get the Herald and they do get out.
That's the nice thing for them. They did get this neutral objective, but it was an awkward situation where they're like, Licorice is behind us. Can we kill him before the reinforcements come? And eventually they did try that. Weren't able to burst him down, got the ultimate off, and they're like, okay, Gori's coming. Forget this. Let's get out of here. So they do escape. And one of the things I was about to say was they're keeping some of the similar game plan of NRG of attacking Gori, which did feel like a bit of something that they were able to exploit, just holding him down as such a key playmaker for Golden Guardians. But the thing is, NRG's really, really aggressive. Like, their kills per game was insane, through the roof. Combined kills per minute was like well over 1 in some of those games. Dignitas is a much slower paced team, and it kind of, I think, dragged Golden Guardians to these overly scrappy fights, and they weren't thinking as clearly about objective setup and these kinds of things. And I think moving forward, I wouldn't mind if Dignitas tried to pick the pace up. We'll see how this one goes, because they do scale very well. Both teams do. There's no need to play this way, but I do think, and stylistically, it was one of the things that NRG was able to get over on top of Golden Guardians.
Yeah, absolutely. I just don't know that Dignitas have the draft to really push the pace. You know, with Sejuani, Xerath, it doesn't
That
exactly
screams
feel
skirmish
like
into me. I don't know about you.
Powerful jungle mid duo.
Everything's
Let's invade.
Every champ can fight, Azael. I don't know what you mean.
You can, just not well. But we'll see. We'll see if they do want to start picking up the pace around these objectives. At the very least, Dignitas is being proactive. They're the first ones to start up the Dragon. Yes, they got pushed off, but then they go up and they do get the Herald. Licorice has taken 2 plates top. Unfortunately, he based, and the minions finished off that second plate, so I don't believe he actually got gold. I was watching the gold in his pocket, didn't see it go up, so missed out on that plate gold, unfortunately for him, but has created a very slight lead up on that top side, and we'll see if Licorice can really kind of transition that into something more, because I do think Licorice needs to find good angles in these fights to kind of give that dive buddy over to River, because all of a sudden if Licorice can get in the backline and then Nocturne arrives, that becomes incredibly threatening. But if it is just Licorice or if it is just River, I don't think it's going to be really very effective.
No, it's going to be too easy to flash out, have your tanks come peel you. You won't probably have enough damage to 100 to 0 them immediately, so there will need to be someone on Golden Guardians playing follow-up to River. Could be Azir as well, go for scoops and whatnot. Like, he doesn't always have to play simple front to back. You can see Gori having a pretty good time against Jensen around the point where it should be becoming more and more Xerath favored as the poke comes in. But even CS, those early Merc treads, as you called out, seeming to help out both with the damage that you take as well as early move speed. Very, very annoying against champions who rely on skill shots in their lane phase.
Exactly. Tier 2 boots, the move speed, really, really important for that. There's obviously the Xerath stun, there's slows on the W, there's Sejuani lockdown, there's a lot of CC over on this Dignitas team, so Merc tread's going to be pretty valuable here, and Gori doesn't really want to interact with the Xerath anyway. You know, when you play these kind of matchups where they can poke you out, generally your recourse is to just outpush them and make them deal with the minions. You know, you're just going to hard shove, and he can't sit there poking because all of a sudden the wave is at your tower, and you've got to focus on just getting all that CS. It is a slight lead thus far for Gori, but Dignitas playing through mid here, trying to get control around this. They want to drop the Herald, have this crash, get a little bit of gold here, and they're going to flash in onto Gori. Gori in trouble, but in comes River. Gori is down. It's first blood for Jensen, but in the back line, it's River chopping up Jensen. Going to be able to trade one back, and Huhi wants more. Going in with the ulti. Santorin getting locked down, has no flash from earlier. Will be able to Q over the wall to escape. At the end of the day, it's a 1-for-1, but Jensen gets the first blood, and they do get the crash with the Herald. So, slight advantage to Dignitas thus far. We just have to see, can Golden Guardians actually farm some plates?
Yeah, it looks like they might be able to get one back here with Stixxay having rotated mid. During that time, Tomo shoved in bot. And all this is going on as Dragon's spawning in 20 seconds. So, both teams are going to res and probably rush straight back there. Actually, 2 plates going to Stixxay. Very nice little cash in for him. This fight would have gone so much better for Dignitas if they were able to kill Gori before he gets his ultimate off. His corpse basically summons this wall to push the side of Dignitas back. Look at this. He's dead. You don't even see the animation.
From the grave, baby!
From the grave. Knocks the people back who would have peeled Jensen potentially here, who maybe then could have had his flash up and gotten out and flashed away from this and maybe gets turned around a little bit as he keeps poking from a safer position. But the fact that they did get that kill allowed the Stixxay rotation to come in and equalize that play, so it ends up being pretty much net equal. The 500 gold lead that they had still there.
It was interesting to me as well that Jensen elected not to flash. River used his flash, but after Jensen had died, so maybe Jensen's read was, I'm dead either way, so I want to save this. Having flash for Xerath is incredibly important. You are very low mobility, but it is Dignitas back over towards the Dragon. Golden Guardians are in the area, but with no Nocturne flash, no Nocturne ult, not going to be a window to really challenge.
No, and now Dragons are split. I feel we are headed for a long game, Azael. 2 kills for 14 minutes.
Okay.
This looks like some potential reason that they did not contest the Dragon. Stixxay having to red gun flash to get the sustain back in case that last shot hit there, and indeed that is why they did not contest that Dragon. Nice little play by Jensen there to get the priority for his team, and that's kind of what we're talking about. As the game goes on, you get more and more shots. That was still only a level 6 ultimate.
Yeah.
Next level, he'll get an extra shot to just keep pelting away.
I mean, he hit everything, though. That was actually pretty damn good. Hit the Q, hit the W, hit 3 for 3 on the ultis, and the 4th one forced the R flash there from Stixxay. So that is really nice for Jensen. We'll see if he can actually keep that up. Another adaptation in his build that we saw from Insanity is he's actually gotten Leandries instead of Ludens. I like this given the amount of kind of beef that there is. Stridebaker Nocturne does end up with a decent health pool. You have, obviously, Renekton's going to have a lot. Rell's going to build tankier. And so there are a number of members where if you land that initial poke, or you can land it a couple of times, the burn will end up dealing more damage.
Ludens is very good for nuking squishies, especially whether you have First Strike or Comet to you just you know, try to 100 to 0 them with just a couple spells. But in an extended siege situation, this is usually going to be higher DPS.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just a trade-off, right? You are getting DPS versus burst. In different situations, the two items are going to be, you know, better or worse. Also, a lot of people just really like the CDR for the Mythic passive on Leandries. That can feel really, really nice. So, going to be able to have that looking to just poke and prod away as much as possible. River does secure a Herald for them on the top side. And Licorice already has that top tier 1 quite low, so it would be pretty much a guaranteed kill if they did go up towards that top side. Aphelios also farmed 2 plates in mid lane, so both those turrets are actually pretty available. I would expect that River would drop at mid to just try to take away this bastion of safety for Jensen, though, on the Xerath. Don't want to allow him to farm safely.
Yeah, you even saw during that time period, Jensen had actually kind of moved down here and hovered in this part of the river as they got that push through bot side. And if you break mid-turret, it becomes a lot harder for Xerath to do those kinds of half roams that you were talking about earlier, where you just set up for a potential dive by being in ult range. So if your Alistar ever goes in, you're able to find that combo. Golden Guardians, of course, was not under the turret then, as they were playing for that Rift Herald. So heads up play for them, not getting caught under there, and being able to still get back in time to protect their bot turret.
This is a little bit weird. The build from Gori, he actually was doing this as well last week on Talia, where he was going for basically 2 items at once. He was going towards Leandries as well as Seraphs at the same time. He's building Leandries and Nashers at the same time, right? And yes, you do have that Lost Chapter. We'll see Huhi likely going to be going down, but River's actually into the backline, pops the ulti. The TP's coming in from Licorice on the flank here. Going to be onto the back of Jensen. We'll see if he can get there. Stuns him up, chops him down, but on the other side, a massive ulti from Stixxay, AoEing them down with the Infernum, but it's actually River who has fallen. Just the 1 kill on both sides.
1 for 1 so far. Golden Guardians being a little stronger on the tail end of that fight as Tomo had gone back to base. Huhi is low though, so if they are not able to get this dragon down very quickly, it's time for Dignitas to reset onto the map. Jensen does have TP. Gori's is coming up as well. I expect both teams are going to reset. Oh, Dragon's not up. I'm trolling. I thought there was a dragon fight over that. I was like, what are they fighting in the river for? It must be dragons because Huhi is in the pit.
Well, they're fighting the dragon's home, you know?
To protect the dragon.
Exactly. Gori and Licorice on the wrong side of the map, though, and Licorice now potentially in trouble. Santorin went for Gori instead, but it's Huhi flashing in, pops the ulti as well. Right of the arcane, gonna get popped, though. Huhi's gotta dodge as much as he can, but he can't dodge enough. He goes down, and on the other side, Licorice caught out all of Dignitas' swarm and take him down. Why were Licorice and Gori over there?
They were as confused as I was, apparently, on that behind the bot lane turret as Dignitas was respawning and getting ready there. Very surprising to see them stick around that long with no objective to fight over, just vision control. And Licorice and
was it like a vision play? What are they actually looking for? I'm kind of confused. This is way back to the initial play.
Right, and this is kind of going back to what we were talking about, the comps being a little awkward. River goes in and puts enough pressure onto Jensen to make him scared, and the rest of the team goes, great, we're going to go dive onto River, who went too far, which abandons Jensen to get annihilated by Licorice. This does, of course, allow them to kill River. Nice peel there by Poome to get all 3 out, and then this is where the tail end of the play happened, where they were pushing this turret and tried to stop the follow-up, and then there was the teleport, and Jensen's dead coming out of replay. Okay, here's the pace of the game.
Yeah, Jensen's dead, but it's Poome trying to get something back. Actually misses on the Q as Gori was able to reactively flash away, and now Santorin trying to go forward, trying to lock River down, but won't have the damage as Gori pushes him back. Golden Guardians are ramping up that pace, trying to pick on this Xerath. They got the flash from in that previous play, and they wanted to punish it.
Yeah, it's coming in, teleported in, got the kill, stayed bot lane, and one of the things Xerath is not great at is side laning, and so they do a good job of killing him underneath that turret. And with that now, as Dragon spawns, should be Golden Guardians to claim here, though. We see Rich moving down to contest this. Licorice has no TP.
X-Flash channeling. Stixxay's in trouble. He's actually really not respecting the play. That was on Vision. The Herald saw him channeling the Hex Flash the whole time, and he took so long to walk back that Stixxay now does have to blow the flash, and that's on the Dragon spawn, so it does give the advantage over to Dignitas here. Should be their Dragon, I think. But at the same time, Licorice pushing up through top lane. Has that tier 1 knockdown. Tier 1 mid almost gone as well. Gori, defensive shuffle, but it's a flash in from Rich, and Rich is going to try to chase him down. We'll see if he can do it. He's going to go all out, and the Xerath is there with the assist. Jensen from long range snipes out another one.
During this time, Licorice still pushing up in the top side, but Dignitas get revenge, get the second dragon. Gold lead swinging Golden Guardians' way, but objectives going for Dignitas. They also should be able to grab this bot turret. Now Tomo just has to be a little bit careful because he is alone in mid lane.
That is a 3K lead now. I mean, they gave up both those towers, all solo gold, to Licorice. Check the gold difference. I'm actually really curious how ahead he is now.
2K almost.
Yeah, 2K up over Rich. So that is going to be a scary croc. You know, they are showcasing Jensen's ability to actually assist on some of these dives. You know, they have made a couple plays where the Xerath has looked pretty good, but this Renekton is going to be a problem now. You've let him really get out of the pace of the game. Now he has the Black Cleaver completed, so he's going for a high damage build, is on 2 items already. If he ever gets into the backline on Jensen, Jensen is just toast. There's not really much recourse that he has unless Poome is there to actually disengage.
Yeah, it's not been the cleanest of the last couple minutes, but I do like Golden Guardians picking up the pace of the game and even choosing to funnel resources into the Renekton as the dive buddy for River to have that extra threat when you do go into the back line. Having this 2-item Renekton is huge. So I do like that kind of decision, but maybe always not the cleanest in some of these plays. I'm glad to see the pace picking up, though, and the flip side to this is that Jensen, despite dying a few times, is also on 2 items with the Rylai's completed. This is something that Insanity skipped over in his build that a lot of people were critical of, because if you land that first spell, it becomes way easier to land the follow-up ultimate, and usually since you're comboing it with CC that's already come through from your tanky frontline or something like that, it becomes very easy then to land the subsequent ones, even if they flash out away from your tanks. And so I really do like this version of the build that Jensen has gone for.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just makes it way easier to hit the skill shots.
I'm bad at the game. Give me the layups, please.
Exactly. And I mean, it's the ramping damage that's coming through when you're hitting ulti after ulti after ulti that really can be game changing. But Dignitas walking up through mid, Santorin zoning off Huhi and River on the other side does secure them the tier 1. Gori got pushed up through top lane. It is Baron now on the map, so playing for Vision in this area. Both teams, I think, have okay Baron takes. You know, it's definitely much better on the Golden Guardian side when you have a high DPS marksman like Aphelios. You have that paired with the Azir. You have got to respect the fact that Golden Guardians could rush this down. For Dignitas, it's okay. You know, they have a pretty beefy front line that can tank it up, and Tomo can definitely do pretty good damage, but Xerath isn't exactly shredding it.
If Dignitas is not around, Golden Guardians can, of course, just brute force it with that speed like you're talking about. But if they are around, you do not want to start the Baron versus Xerath. That is literally shooting fish in a barrel. Please do not start that in those kinds of situations, unless you're at a man advantage and you have the turn tools available. But otherwise,
maybe
it feels...
you're bored, you know?
Yeah, I guess. You go for it. I wouldn't recommend it, but I would recommend trying to fight dragon fights.
True. I would agree, yeah.
It is something that they do have in their back pocket. If you do get vision control, you can kind of like start it and see what they do. I just don't think the brute force is what you're looking for. You do have decent turn tools with Nocturne and maybe who he's flanking. So yeah, if you ever do want to start it to pick a fight, that's fine.
And I think at the very least, you want to play in the area and deny vision, right? You know, this ward comes over, they see it's just Poome, so now they're going to start it up. It is spotted by the blue trinket, but it is Poome now engaging onto Huhi, and they're going to TP in onto the pit. This could be problematic. River turns out the lights. They're trying to just finish the Baron. It's going to be a flip, and it is secured there by Golden Guardians. They just commit to it. Licorice in the back line may get burst down, but it's a trade for Rich on the other side, and it's Golden Guardians that walk away with the Baron, but no, Huhi's going to go in, and in goes Gori. He's going to shuffle back too. Can Stixxay get involved as Tomo's going to go up into the ulti, trying to knock down River. River has to flash out to safety. It's Jensen letting it rip with the right of the arcane, pushing back Golden Guardians. Tomo wants to chase, but doesn't have the move speed to actually catch up. Flashing forward from Jensen, though, is going to slow him down, and now Tomo flashes forward in response as well. But that's 2 flashes, and they can't even get Stixxay. Golden Guardians walks out with the Baron alive on 3.
Oh boy, going back to why we were talking about why this is so dangerous, they have Tomo in the base. I'm pretty sure Golden Guardians were aware that this was not going to be an even fight, so they're just on full burn it down mode while Huhi basically distracts them to stop a potential smite steal from coming through. That's all fine. The decision to go over the wall and fight this, though, is when it got very dicey, and I gotta say, Jensen seemed to get a little distracted in his target selection. If he focuses down all his spells on the left side of the fight, they could have won this a little bit faster, but he starts focusing onto Stixxay and River as they start coming onto Tomo. If he maybe has this Q shooting left, they can blow Gori up and he can start focusing onto River. Very tough to decide because they were pressing onto Tomo, but at the end of the day, it ends up 2 for 2. Baron goes in favor of Golden Guardians, so a dicey call that still ends up in their favor.
I mean, they use the Nocturne ult to great effect there, honestly. They turn off the lights, so Santorin has no vision in the pit. He can't actually see that Baron whatsoever. Licorice is over the wall. Yeah, he gives his life, but he stuns up and delays Santorin enough time that they can actually just secure it, so a bit of a risky call, but I think a pretty good one from Golden Guardians, and now they can look to potentially take another dragon. They're pushing up through multiple lanes here, you know, now down towards that bot side, but River's going to go mid. We'll be able to join up with the team with that Nocturne ulti, so they will be pushing mid, they will be pushing bot, and no one from Dignitas is actually answering the mid push right now, so Golden Guardians can kind of just bounce back and forth between these 2 waves and potentially knock down some of these turrets.
Yeah, I really like Golden Guardians kind of splitting up here. You can just have River sit there with the minions as you see him doing. And obviously, Dignitas have decent wave clear with the Xerath. They have poke if you're just going to stand around. So you want to split up a little bit, at least get into a 4-1, potentially a 1-3-1 setup. That's something that Nocturne is kind of uniquely able to do, is sit mid lane and be able to ult to side lanes. And that's exactly what they're doing here.
Oh, the ulti comes out from Santorin. Will not connect on Gori. They're trying to find some sort of a play here, but now River pushing up, and we can see Huhi channeling
Tomo.
the Hex Flash, looking for Tomo. Will he commit forward? The Shattering Strike is there, but he's going to have to actually jump back to safety. But now, Xerath popping the ulti over the wall, actually just chunking down Stixxay. Does force the cancel as River pops the ulti defensively to get Stixxay out to safety. Golden Guardians are chunked pretty low, but I do think with no vision on the map here for Dig, it's still an easy dragon to grab.
Yeah, nice job by Golden Guardians prior to that kind of skirmish breaking out, having vision set up. So even though it got a little scary, Dignitas don't have an easy way to contest this dragon. They grab this one, but that does stall out the Baron push. I don't think they actually got any turrets with that, so not the biggest Baron power play. They did get the initial kill, obviously getting the Baron, but I don't think we're able to grab any other turrets. Just gets that dragon in their favor, 2-2 in that way. And you can see why it's scary for both teams. Jensen starts pelting your AD carry. You turn the lights off on him. He goes, oh God, are they jumping on me? And ends up with everyone just disengaging.
And it's also, you just don't even know where to shoot anymore. You can't see where they're dodging. You're fully blind, right? So it is definitely very annoying for them. Stixxay up very far here, though. Does actually have to roam as Tomo is going to try to go forward, but now Santorin is behind Stixxay, and I think Stixxay will just have to give up his life. He's going to be able to flash out away from the Arctic Assault there from Santorin, but again, Stixxay positioning really far forward in a couple of these situations. Has not died yet this game, but it does cost him the Gale Force and the Flash, and that at least gives Dignitas a potential in to try to focus someone down, to try to look for a pick here, and maybe get a way back into this game.
Yeah, I think you can see another good attempt there. Stixxay has been jumped on a handful of times, I gotta say. Some of them look like his fault, but he hasn't died yet. He's done a very good job of having his Gale Force up to get away from Tomo after the flash is on top of him, and kind of baiting a lot of the resources getting spent on the immobile AD carry, and it's one of the things he's done a very good job making sure he doesn't actually drop thus far. Now, 5,000 gold lead for Golden Guardians, starting to feel pretty good. Making sure that Dignitas was not on Soul Point, so in the next 5 minutes, you can suddenly potentially lose the game because Infernal Soul plus Xerath, very annoying. That little bit of extra burst on every single poke becomes frustrating to deal with.
Yeah, it's absolutely problematic to deal with. And I think Golden Guardians, though, you know, with their lead, with the pace of the game, they're still happy because they still have some really good scaling here with the Aphelios, with the Azir. And I do think, you know, with all the CDR that's actually being bought up by River, it's going to cause a lot of problems for Dignitas. If he has his ulti for every single fight, it's just hard for Jensen to actually participate. Even if he's not getting ulted, just turning out the lights makes these skill shots impossible to really do anything with. And Xerath plays so far back that you never really get proximity vision unless you're the one dying.
If you like blue trinket him first, turn the lights off, then ult, it's kind of like how you have to do it. It is possible given that you kind of see where the ults are coming from, but it is still a lot of resources to deal with Jensen. It's also 6 seconds on Darkness, 10 seconds of uptime on Jensen's ultimate, so if you don't time it super well either...
Oh, flash for flash there, traded out from Gori. The lights are turned off, and Licorice looking for the back line, can't actually get in, but now River's going to dive deep onto Tomo. The ulti is going to be traded out. Huhi diving in onto him. It does force the flash and the cleanse out of Tomo. Dignitas will retreat and will survive for now, but it's Huhi in trouble potentially to these ultis from Jensen. They're trying to push forward, though, and actually push Jensen back, but he gets a kill, and now they grab a second. Huhi's down as well. River going for it. Will finish off Tomo, but it's Santorin and Poome in pursuit will not be able to get the kill. Jensen does get 2, but at the end of the day, it is the 2-for-2 trade, and it's the better kills that go to Golden Guardians as they got the AD and they got the top laner.
Yeah, they have a lot of damage still up to burn this Baron down if they want to start it and kind of force a second time here. River and Stixxay should be enough and force Dignitas to walk forward and contest this. Santorin's still around and Jensen is as well. So they have to be a little careful, but Licorice just pops his ult again. It's
going down relatively quick here, though. Jensen has got to start landing this poke very fast, but he's not going to be able to do it, and there's the root coming through from Stixxay, stepping forward, pushing Jensen out. Licorice has the Sterix popped, and that is going to be enough to secure it for Golden Guardians. Just pops the ulti early, uses the Sterix, buys the time for River to secure it.
Really nicely played there by Golden Guardians. Got a little over-aggressive in pushing Dignitas back around the mid lane, but with so many members still left alive and the immense Baron threat that their composition has, they're able to secure that one very easily here. 6,000 gold lead, another play in Golden Guardians' favor. Here's that mid lane skirmish. And this was a really nice front-to-back team fight out of Dignitas initially. They go in, they force some cooldowns out. Licorice is on the flank. They all peel back to deal with him. Huhi tries to land this engage. They then deal with him. They force everyone back, and Golden Guardians just step a little bit too far forward to deal with Jensen's ultimate here. Gori is in poke range, and Rich sees his opportunity after the root lands by Tomo to flash ult Gori in as well. But the last second ult again, pushing Tomo forward, making sure he can kill him. Apparently Gori is best at his ult when he's dying. And that was kind of what, again, saved the fight there, because otherwise it would have been a 2 for 0 for Dignitas.
Yeah, the ultis really ramp up when you're in the gray screen, you know?
He's a gray screen gamer.
That's where he really does his best work on the Azir from the grave. But Golden Guardians now again pushing through multiple lanes, this time through 3 lanes as Licorice pushing in top. You can see that top lane inhibitor tower is already really low. River now playing through bot, and it's a 3-man squad from Golden Guardians pushing up here through mid. Dignitas moving down towards River, trying to actually push him back. But Rich is going to have to answer Renekton up on the top side, who is going to be a tough beast to deal with. Has the 3 items completed, has the stopwatch as well, and I think he can just walk up and potentially finish this tower off. So Dignitas sending multiple members up there, trying to stop that from happening. But they're getting kind of pulled apart here through all of these different lanes. If Golden Guardians can actually sync up the waves, they can absolutely knock down these turrets.
Yeah, this is that 1-3-1 set that we're kind of talking about. With Gori dropping his River in mid, you have River himself in bot lane, so you're dropping his turret in mid, River going bot, and then you have Licorice up on the top side. Makes it so Jensen can only really clear one of these waves, and Gori is able to move up to Licorice, break that top turret, while keeping pressure in all 3 lanes simultaneously.
And they're doing actually a really interesting setup, because the 1-3-1 has turned into like a 2-2-1, right? Where they're actually playing with just their jungler down bot, both their soul laners in top, and their bot lane is playing through mid, and now they've cracked another inhibitor tower. The ulti's gonna get popped here from River. He's trying to get in there to help Licorice, who pops the stopwatch, but the feathers are down, and Licorice could be in trouble. Santorin trying to step up to try to finish him off, can't do it, and it's Xayah who falls on the other side. Golden Guardians on the march, and I think they've done it for game number 1. Golden Guardians marching on the Nexus. Can Dignitas do anything about it? The ulti's going to be popped here by Xerath, but he can't get any kills. The towers are falling. Stixxay flashes forward, takes down Rich, and Golden Guardians have done it. They're going to take the lead in this series 1-0.
Very hard fought first game there from Golden Guardians. Dignitas were doing their best to scrap them out, but play after play after play, chipping out an advantage for themselves until this final push. Stixxay, monstrous ultimate there to actually kill Xayah from super long range as Tomo was trying to get back to the base. And once that was down, there's just not enough DPS threat from Xerath alone. Golden Guardians run through the base there. Stixxay 2-0-4 despite some dicey positioning at points in time, always staying alive despite all the skill shots coming his way. Gori having